Let's keep talking, or you won't know
See
if
if
it's
it's
working.
working.
5, 4,
Okay.
3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA, and we're going to be talking about testing a bit, case studies today, and also insights from data. But first, we're going to prepare you for Valentine's Day. The reason I'm so far ahead here, 2 weeks, fully 2 weeks ahead, is that I don't always prepare ahead. So I'm trying to help you out in case you have a Valentine you need to prepare for. And if you don't, this may, well, there's a longer form of this commercial that it's like 3 minutes, and it would give you tips. So I recommend you go on YouTube and type Teleflora. But I'm just going to play a short one for you because they get too long. And here we go.
Like 34 years is a long time to love each other, and that's all around love. And it takes work.
As she used to say, she took a dusty album and blew the dust off of it. And I appreciate
Right.
that. You
Yes.
cleaned me up.
This is for you.
What?
Oh, she probably got that
Man.
free.
I got flowers.
Okay, so that's nice. Okay, so let's find out more about more about Teleflora's campaign, and it's a nice story. I thought that's another reason I did it. Okay, so over we go. Teleflora Valentine's Day ads target the lonely, and I'm not sure that's true, Sarah Mahoney from Media Post, but you know that's what they titled the article. Think love is only true in fairy tales and for someone else, but not for you. Teleflora hopes that believe in love, and this is the long right here. This is the long version of the video campaign. That's like almost 3 minutes. The brand is owned by the Wonderful Company. At first I read it and I thought it's owned by a wonderful company, all and then capitalized. And I thought, what? Apparently that's the name of the company. And they're using a new real person effort to promote this year's line of Valentine's Day bouquets. The company cites research that the number of people without a steady partner has increased 50% since 1986. Don't know what that number is, but it's kind of sad, I guess. The ad used 5 real life couples, all former love skeptics. And the beginning of that longer form is kind of funny. Some feared abandonment or heartbreak. Others thought love was only in the movies. In terms of fairy tales, says one woman, I kissed a lot of frogs. I think that's that woman, actually, that we saw in the commercial. This guy apparently was a widower. Diane says she was kind of a man-hater. She'd say, oh, that guy looks cute, but he's probably a jerk. Anyway, Bruce and Diane, 30 years together, which is pretty good for the second time around. I don't know about her, but it was for him. That's what he said. He didn't think that it would happen to him again. Love can be discouraging, confusing, and simply hard to believe in, but the right partner can change your perspective in all the best ways, says Danielle Mason, VP of Marketing in the company's announcement. In a world filled with uncertainty, we want to ignite hope. I like that. And optimism this Valentine's Day. Okay, so it was created by their in-house agency. They connect 10,000 member florists in the USA. Valentine's Day is typically the busiest occasion of the floral occasion of the year, even more than Mother's Day or winter holidays. 37% said those celebrating the holiday plan to buy flowers, which beat out an evening out. It's very difficult to get an evening out set up well on Valentine's Day unless you go to Hardee's or something where they don't take reservations. And jewelry was only mentioned by 21%. So if you want something unique, you might want to go with jewelry. I've never had a lot of success with that. But flowers is nice, and if you get them early, they're not too expensive. I like the Australameria, right? And so now UPS, I got to get that right. UPS to cut 12,000 jobs after agreeing to new labor rates. This is from CBS News. There's a UPS driver. And I learned quite a bit in this article. 12,000 jobs with the mass layoff. However, I also learned that they have roughly, and they probably say roughly because it probably goes up and down a bit, 500,000 employees. So if they laid off 50,000, that would be 10%. So 5,000 would be 1%. And so 12,000 is 2 point something percent. 2.4% or something like that. Anyway, see how I do that in my head? I can do math live. Anyway, so you can comment on the chat. I'm watching the chat today. David Foley got in yesterday. So they had just settled a new labor contract, but they're going to save $1 billion by laying off these 12,000 employees. They're also ordering employees to return to the office 5 days a week this year. Okay, so no more work from home deal. We're going to fit our organization to our strategy, align our resources. So the stock price went down, which is usually when you get layoffs, the stock price actually goes up because, I've only fired one person. He was a creative director who wouldn't run a test for me. He said it was going to ugly up the catalog. Turned out the test on 600,000 pieces, not a little 20,000 piece test, but 600,000 piece test. Turned out it beat control by 40%. 40%. Doing live David just commented, doing live math live without a net. Parents, do not let your children try this at home. No fair being funny. I told you, David, you can't upstage the host here. But nice that you're watching. I wish we had a few more people watching. We might improve the show quite a bit. So the shares went down a little bit. Down here, it talked about the new agreement covered 340,000 UPS workers in the U.S. And the average UPS driver earns $170,000 in annual pay and benefits. That's a lot of money. I would have been better off as a UPS driver, except I don't think I could run in and out of the buildings like I maybe once could. Anyway, enough of that. Interesting, though, that the Postal Service seems focused entirely on informed delivery, turning direct mail into email so no one has to go to their mailbox, except on special occasions, and also on package delivery, which should be booming, but UPS is cutting people. And I was going to say I only fired one person ever, and there was a recession on, and Norm and Scott Stern ran the company. Norm told me, in a recession they'll leave you alone. If there's a little bit soft economy. If it's booming times and you fire somebody, then they'll go to the state and they'll come after you for firing without due cause. It's okay, David. You don't have to say sorry. And so we all hired people that weren't exactly what we hoped for, let's just say, and maybe we were hired and weren't exactly what they were hoping for either. That's what my boss told me about 6 months into being the marketing consultant, which it turned out I was pretty much cut out for, I think. He said, I think I grossly overestimated your experience or something like that, Big Hunter. Anyway, so, sometimes this is more an effort to cut out people that aren't pulling the weight. And oftentimes the employees that are left appreciate that. They appreciate that somebody noticed that they're working hard and someone else isn't, So anyway, here's an article from Anchor Computer, and Mr. Schenker over there and I used to be friends. His daughter's now sending out the emails, and his son, I think, is running operations. So we'll just leave it at that. So I didn't think much of this article. It sounds like it was generated by AI. I'd rather see a person's name on here, and then I can know that they were using ChatGPT or something like that. Because it repeats. It says basically the same thing over and over. That meaningful assets that extracting meaningful assets is a crucial skill. I would say it's an almost non-existent skill. I never see people even going for that, much less achieving it. Um, and you need to focus not only on the analytics, but also on effective data storytelling. And the problem with that first paragraph is that storytelling has the perhaps unfortunate connection with myth. Oh, that's just a fairy tale, right? Trivializing it, meaning it's not really true. And so the whole article, I think, starts off on the wrong foot. It cites this number: 71% of customers are looking for personalized, and I don't know about personalized. I think they're looking for personal interaction. Like the Teleflora said, we're looking for personal connection, not personalized generic or chat GPT or AI or bots, customer service bots. So this is an article that I hate, okay? So Schenker family, take note. It's Len Schenker, I think, is the founder, yeah. Anyway, great man. He told me back in the day, I did actually do consulting for Anchor. We helped them get going in business to business, which was a little bit different kettle of fish. We did consulting for most of the merge purge houses, Axiom, and we even did it for Postal Soft, who was writing the software for a lot of them, and USPS. So I do know something about matching, and I do know something about data, but Len, I hate this article. Len once told me a story. He said, you should explain modeling like fishing in different lakes or fishing in different weather. A sunny day or a cloudy day, or sunset, sunrise versus middle of the day, and how different lakes with different depths, different temperatures have different characteristics. And that what we're really trying to do in data is we're trying to understand which of those differences matter the most. Sunset, I rarely get up to sunrise for fishing, but sunset is usually a very, very good time. And right before a storm, my dad told me, was good. When the wind is from the east, the fish bite the least. When the wind is from the west, the fish bite the best. It was on the west this morning. I rode my motorcycle. I started the month, first 10 days of January, and now I ended the month. So I notice things like that. And those are the kind of stories that you want to tell. But most of the data modeling these days is done by AI. They drop in the data. Hopefully they show the non-buyers and the buyers if they're doing direct mail modeling. And then they just grind out whatever gives them the most lift, often without even validating it. No story whatsoever. I remember explaining fishing models to Dick Cabela. Take note, David Baer. His team said, don't show him the computer. He doesn't like computers. He hates computers. And so I said, but he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for this thing. I want to try and explain it to him. I said, Dick, imagine you only had one catalog left, okay? And I told you that we could send it to this fella who'd bought a couple of times in a blue-collar neighborhood. He hadn't bought lately. Or we could send it to a high-income urban area like Manhattan, and he'd bought once and spent a lot of money, but he hadn't bought in a while. Which do you think you would pick if you only had that one catalog left? He said, I think the blue-collar guy who's bought a few times but not lately. He said, income comes and goes, but you're always a fisherman if you buy a few times. And I said, that's exactly what the model showed. Now, we used Shade, which is a Bayesian decision tree, but it gives you the variables. It shows you the difference, and we actually set it up. So it didn't show you p-values. It showed you the profitability per piece in each one, so we could tell a story. We said, see, the blue-collar neighborhood does, let's say, double the profitability per piece of mail-in into Manhattan that you did last time. He said, yep, that's what fishermen are like. And we went through the tree, and we tried to find those stories. We tried to guess. Nobody models like that. Nobody. I really have never seen it. You know, I got beat just a couple of years ago, and I asked, and we won't mention the modeling company. I asked, you know, what they thought the reason was. Now, the reason was because they had propensity to buy in direct mail as a variable, and they didn't give us that variable. They promised for 2 years, but they didn't give it to us. So it was a really good variable that they had that we didn't have. Not a surprise that worked, for me anyway. But that aside, I asked, well, what do you think? And they said, well, they have their secret sauce, and they really don't tell me. No. Okay. Uh, and so, you know, this is just a horrible article that is the state of data analysis right now. That knowing that what insights you're seeking will guard your analysis. No, that's not. Those aren't the interesting insights. And I was going to grab a book. Usually I keep one here. My book, Spinning Straw into Gold, very short book, like 120 pages, that gives you the stories that made companies explode with growth. And there's a couple more I'm working on that I haven't told yet, but are even better stories. And I highly recommend it. It's, I don't know, $7 or something. I recommend the Kindle version if you don't have it, or you can give me a call. I can send you the PDF if you really want it. I hope that's not you. Incoming call, unavailable. We'll just let that go. Okay, so you know, Anchor can tell you, iterate and refine, no word of testing. The real answer with storytelling is to do A/B splits and do holdout tests and to control for the variables you really want to see the incremental lift from. And that's not in here at all. Data is it's not self-revealing. It's very difficult to tell the good story. Predictive modeling is an oxymoron. All modeling is done with historical data. And the only way you get to predictive force is by isolating the incremental lift of key variables and seeing repetitively that this variable matters this much. And that is how you build predictive models, not like this. I've got a great story from Zephora, but I got to get off, and I don't want to shortchange it. So we'll leave it at that. Tomorrow I'll tell the Zephora story. But most importantly, I'll tell you about Canada Post and how they're partnering with expert mail companies. And Steve Falk, it will be in the story. So I'll mention him today so he can give him a heads up. Maybe he can add to the story tomorrow. But why I like it? I like it because they did a control and a test. If there's no control, it's not a test. It's not an experiment if you just try something. No, it's a try. And as an industry, we've lost sight of that fact. We don't sell the possibility of experiment and the possibility of solid models. We don't sell that because most of us don't even understand it. So I highly recommend you get my book. I don't usually do this. And if you have more questions, write me on LinkedIn or give me a call. The number's down below. Thanks to David Foley or John at WDMA.org. Have a great day. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We're keeping on going every day, not like Royal Mail. No, they're not changing the mail delivery. We're studying it. And I studied it too, and David said keep going every day. Bye-bye.